Welcome back to Smile Jamaica, everybody. Reading that a few banks in the U.S. have collapsed, leaving customers shell-shocked and the financial sector in doubt. We've got CEO of Profit Jumpstarter and financial educator Keisha Bailey here to talk to us about what this means generally and whether there are implications for us here at home. I've heard no, I've heard we need to be watching out. I don't know what Keisha thinks, but we're going to find out from her as we welcome her to the show. Good morning.
Morning, Keisha.
Good morning. Good morning. Happy to be here.
So I hear Neville asking during the break, what the bank collapse? What do you mean the bank collapse? What does that mean?
Well, several banks have collapsed, not just one at this point. So let's just go back through the journey of it, the history. This all started around March 10th, where Silicon Valley Bank, which is a big bank, they call it a regional bank in the US, it's in the California area. That bank started seeing a lot of people come and pull deposits out. And the thing with banks is that banks are good depositors of your money, but when everybody comes at the same time for their money, it creates a run on the bank. So that was a big problem for Silicon Valley Bank because a lot of their depositors are these big tech companies, which have very large balances. And so by the time all the depositors lined up to come and pull their monies out, they weren't pulling 1,000 or 2,000 US. They were pulling out millions of US dollars. That created a run on the bank because Silicon Valley Bank was not ready to make these large deposits and all at the same time. So what happened? The FDIC had to step in to say, well, you know, deposits in the US are insured up to $250,000 US, but still the bank balances with Silicon Valley Bank were much larger than this. So a lot of persons were worried. They're saying, well, how am I going to get back my millions of dollars? So the US government stepped in to say, we are going to make sure all depositors get back their money. But the money has to come from somewhere.
Correct.
Still money. It has to come from somewhere. The next bank in the list was Signature Bank, which is a bank for now cryptocurrency firms. And we know that last year was a very rough year for crypto firms. So that bank too was struggling. And the firms went back to Signature Bank as well to start pulling out funds. Another bank again, big deposits. So the US government had to step in again to say, well, you know, depositors, don't worry. We're going to get you back your money. Next bank on the list now is First Republic Bank. They're another regional bank in the US, and they are seeing similar problems, but no, you know, tight on money, tight. So here, the bigger banks in the US, you know, your JP Morgan, Bank of America, Citibank, they stepped in to give $30 billion to First Republic Bank so that they could pay back their depositors. And the plot now thickens overseas to Switzerland. So Credit Suisse, which is the second biggest bank in Switzerland, and it's been recognized as a systemically important bank across the world. Big Credit Suisse. They've been having a lot of problems for years. They now are on the brink of collapse as well because lots of withdrawals coming out. Same thing. But the Swiss National Bank, so their central bank in Switzerland, had to step in now to say, well, we're going to give you $50 billion to help you with these withdrawals. But it still wasn't enough. So over the weekend, what happened? UBS, the largest bank in Switzerland, decided that they're going to now buy Credit Suisse because all this had to be done before the markets opened this morning because it would have just been panic and mayhem.
I'm going to jump in. I want to jump in, Keisha. Why? Go back to the first one that you told us in
Silicon
in California. So why people taking out their money?
So what happens with banks? It's all a faith system, right? We believe, you know, the banks are here, your deposits are safe. What happened with Silicon Valley Bank is that they got so much deposits in the pandemic because a lot of money was going into the tech sector. So the tech companies were getting a lot of capital and they decided to put that capital with Silicon Valley Bank. Silicon Valley Bank then had a good problem because, you know, a lot of deposits. So they put their money in these US Treasury bills because how banks make money, they take your deposits and they put those deposits in really safe investment. Now, last year, when interest rates started going higher and higher, the value of those treasury bills were falling. So the bank was taking that loss. it got to a point where the losses were so great that the bank now needed capital. And word of that spread around. And so the depositors say, you know what, going back for my money because something is going on very, very negatively with this bank. And, word flies. People call each other, tech company calls their colleagues, and everybody shows up to pull out their millions of dollars. So that's what started it all, because the banks aren't ready to make all of these withdrawals all at the same time.
So
and it's large amounts.
Yeah.
So we're going how many banks in the US now? Three? 4?
We're at 4.
4 banks.
And more coming up. But 3, Silicon Valley, Signature, and First Republic.
Right. So my question to you is what is the outlook looking like?
Lots of panic now. I mean, the investors generally in the US are panicking. Depositors, because think about it, if you have any money at this bank, over 250,000, because the first 250,000 is insured by the US FDIC, but a lot of people have millions of dollars, so they are worried. They need to get back their money, and a lot of persons are panicking. And that panicking is being felt with the banks collapse and also the share prices for these banks. They're falling.
So Keisha, collapse mean them done, or they will be back? What collapse actually mean?
Collapse mean bank is bankrupt. And so you may have other companies now trying to buy them. They cannot make their payments back to the depositors. So think about you putting in your money in the bank and you're going back for it and it's just not there. Bank lock. Can't go in, can't access your money.
Wow.
So a lot of panic.
And obviously, I mean, geez, what's the worst case scenario as you see it?
Well, the thing is that the U.S. government has stepped in to say, well, depositors, you are getting back your money. The U.S. is also speaking with the bigger bank to say, all right, can you help a situation out here and lend some money to these smaller regional banks? The latest company being tapped now is Warren Buffett, Berkshire Hathaway, to say, hey, Warren Buffett, can you come in and save some of these regional banks? Because he's been known to, make really great investments for companies that are struggling, that he sees some value in. So that's where we're at now in the US. Talks with Warren Buffett to see if he now can step in with his company to inject some money into these banks.
Yeah, at the top of the interview, Sim kind of wondered if we should be concerned in Jamaica about all this. Anything we should be concerned about? Anything?
Well, we always have to be concerned because US sneeze, we catch a cold over here, and that's literally has happened. So for persons who are companies who may do business with these banks overseas, you have to, now is the time to go check and make sure to find out what's happening with your deposits there. Can you access them? Also, that $250,000 limit is important. So you have to diversify your deposits across banks. You can't have just large lump sums with one bank. And a lot of persons and companies, they do that. They have all of their deposits, all of their money with this one institution. So if the bank go down, bear problems for you. So we have to think about, one, diversification with our money, if we have money with any of these banks. And two, if you have money with a bank that lent to these banks, you also need to be concerned because the money has to come from somewhere eventually. If your bank lent money to a struggling bank, who's going to give your bank the money back?
Right.
It's a domino effect that's kicking off.
Yeah.
So diversification now more than ever is important with the deposits. And, of course, trust but verify. Know where your money is. Know the company you're putting your money is. And that's something you take across the world, not just for the US. Even here in Jamaica, you have to take it as well. Trust but verify.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you so much, Keisha. CEO of Profit Jumpstarter and financial educator, Keisha Bailey. After the break,
International Day of Happiness. And I think we'll all be much happier if we know where our money is. And we can get it when we're ready. Soon come.